This is an organization driven by volunteers. You know, when Coach Jacobs recruited me to come play at Vanderbilt, I came from a family that was resourced. I had a wonderful mother and father that loved me and were very, very involved in my life. We weren't, privileged in any sense. I mean, we came from a middle-income family with my dad as a lieutenant colonel in the Army. But my mom didn't work. She stayed at home with the kids, and, we had everything we needed, but I felt the resources and support. My dad had played college football. He was a hero to me. I looked up to him, and I wanted to be like my dad. And then I played for a great coach in Kentucky. Joe Jaggers, when he retired, was the all-time winningest head coach in Kentucky for wins. And so I got to play with a great coach and have a great family and a great dad. And with all those resources around me, I'll never remember, my senior year, I was being recruited by a number of schools, and I was going to practice one day, and we all have self-doubts. We all wonder and question, even as adults, especially as children. Am I good enough? Do I fit in? Can I do that? And I remember going out to practice one day and walking out on the field, and I had those doubts that morning, and as we were going out there, I said to Coach Jackers, I said, Coach, do you really think that I'm going to get a football scholarship? And he looked at me like I had two heads. And he said, Charles, what are you talking about? He said, the question isn't whether you're going to get a football scholarship. The question is where you're going to want to go. Now, I wasn't that blue chip recruit that got to go anywhere in the country, but I had a number of offers. And at that time, though, I had these self-doubts and these questions. And I needed mentors, and I needed support, and I needed people to encourage me to say, you can do it. Absolutely. You're a great player. I believe in you. Keep doing what you're doing. That's what this organization does. It infuses time. It infuses hope. It infuses support into wonderful moms like Frida and her family, and puts caring adults like you and I in the lives of these children and gives them what they need the most. Hope, encouragement, love. Our kids spell love T-I-M-E. There is absolutely no substitute for it. And in our world today, as busy as we are, America is the most productive nation in the history of mankind. And sometimes our greatest strengths can become our greatest weaknesses. Because in our great productivity, our weapons of mass production, those PDAs that we carry around on our hip 24/7, they are the thief of time. They take time away from our kids. They take time away from our families. Big brothers, big sisters, through your support financially, through your volunteering your time, infuses time and love into the lives of these kids. And it changes children's lives for the better forever by being there for them. And I know you would expect me to say this as the national president and CEO, that I believe this is the greatest youth development organization in the country. I know you'd say, well, that's a homer comment. But I do believe it because I've been a big brother for 20 years. And I don't know a better place or a better way to change the life of a child for the better forever than by giving them a volunteer, a caring adult, who 24/7 is that lifeline of hope and support and love and time and encouragement to these kids. When I got involved 20 years ago, I thought I was getting involved to help somebody else, and I was. I was really impressed with this organization because I had done a lot of things in youth development. And when I came to Big Brothers Big Sisters, I knew that they had kids on the waiting list, and I knew that it was, this organization that needed help. And so when I volunteered, I thought, I'm just going to show up and they're going to match me with a little boy in a couple weeks. Well, they said, hold on, big guy. We got to check you out. And I thought, wow, that's right. If Frida is entrusting her children to us, we've got to be safe. And Big Brothers Big Sisters did that. They checked me out. We were safe. And for the next 20 years, it was a journey for me in being a big brother to three young men. I'm going to close with this story. Rod Derrick, my last little brother of the three, I got matched with him when he was in third grade. This young man was in school and struggling with a lot of things. All of his grades were in the 50s and 60s. And when I went to meet with him and got to know him, he had an older brother in prison. He had an older sister who was pregnant with her second child. He had another older brother who was on probation, and his parents had just gone through a very, very difficult public divorce. So I go in to meet with him, and I'm looking and reviewing his grades, and he's got, in reading comprehension was where he was struggling, and he would have an 80 and a 100 and an 80 and a 0 and a 20, and an 80 and a 100 and a 40 and a 20. And I would look at the work and look at the paragraphs and look at the questions of comprehension, and they weren't any more difficult when he had the 100 and he had the 0. And I said, buddy, what's going on? Is this one harder for you than this other one? He said, no. And I said, well, what's affecting you? And he said, well, I get distracted. Now, we'd get distracted too with all that going on, wouldn't we? Now, especially if you're in the 3rd grade. He had a lot going on that he got distracted with. Plenty of intelligence. College wasn't even in his vocabulary. Would it be in yours? I'm so proud that working through that situation with him, he graduated with a 3.1 GPA last year. First in his family to go to a 4-year college of higher education. And I went to dinner with him the other night. Yeah, I cried at Vanderbilt when I played football too. Back when I played, that's why we struggled. But I went to dinner with him the other night. I was so proud of Rod Derrick. So proud of him. And he's just growing right in front of your eyes. And he's doing so well. That's what this organization does. It changes lives for the better forever. It certainly changed mine. If you haven't been involved yet, get involved. It'll change yours too. And we need your help to change others. Mary mentioned it's Giving Tuesday. We spent $59 billion this past weekend across America on things we probably didn't need, right? I know we're guilty of that in my family. Today's Giving Tuesday. Let's set a record today for Big Brothers, Big Sisters in Middle Tennessee. Yesterday was Cyber Monday. They were expecting another couple of $1 billion to spend over the internet. Whatever you're planning to do today, I want to challenge you to do a little more. You won't miss it. If you're planning to give $100, give $200. The organization needs it. They've got kids that need it. They need you to be involved. If you're planning to give $500, give $1,000. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for being here this morning with your time. Let's make history for Big Brothers, Big Sisters in Middle Tennessee this morning.